Welcome everyone to another episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. It's a pleasure to have you on again. It's Sunday. We're gonna have the weekly close in a little bit, and ETH has been smashing it. It's absolutely bonkers. We're gonna be looking at ETH, and it kind of looks that the long-term targets that we've been talking about for a couple of months now are gonna get are within reach very soon. First, I want your attention for ECOS. They're sponsoring this video content. They're a new regulatory compliant exchange. They got futures, derivatives, spot, on-ramps, off-ramps, etc., etc. So it would be really cool if you can check them out. If you register now, you can still have zero fee trading for the rest of January. So check out the link in the description below and or in the watermark. Bitcoin. We talked about Bitcoin last week on Wednesday, and we're looking at the fact that Red had to remain resistance. It's done beautifully so on the daily, and we've been selling off. And I don't know whether the sell-off is complete or not. I'm really confused. Like, ideally, this low right here gets ran, swept into this little daily block over here before we see any upside continuation. But there was momentum, there was a lot of volume. Let me color this a little bit darker. I'm not on my usual setup. I'm home sitting on the place of my sister. So I'm in the living room streaming from a giant ass television sitting on a couch. So my color settings are a bit off. Anyways, that was what I expected that was going to happen. This low right here. And then we got front run, taking out some other lows. Let me remove this. So I don't know. Like I'm not really sure what to tell you. Like it really could go a few ways. So if we zoom in on this, like we have these two kind of equal lows on the daily that had a bit of a sweep now. But we still haven't really tested this zone right here. So I'm not really sure whether that's still going to happen or not. We have this daily block, which is probably less significant by now, simply because we've been going through it a couple of times, but still, it's kind of fresh if you look at the levels here. So did we have an SR flip? Are we bearish? Maybe. I've closed my shorts and even opened a little long, but I'm not too sure about it. Like, I think price could still come down here and then go back higher. So it's a bit of a weird place. Like I said on Twitter, I would have been more comfortable if this low would have been able to come down all the way here and then bounce, because then we would have taken out all the liquidity and all the positions that have been gathered since the start of the year. Now, I don't know, like price could come revisit the 30k level and then bounce. It could come down to 27 and then bounce 24, 25, 26. It's tricky because it's still a pretty large range. So my approach here is to be very careful, scaling slowly, make sure that I don't overexpose myself, and just let it play out. Bitcoin is obviously not the place where the magic is happening right now. ETH BTC is absolutely killing it. Last week we talked about ETH BTC kind of having to break these 3 resistance levels. It did, and it kind of retested it, and now it's kind of moving up again. So I'm very bullish on ETH. I think ETH is going to be approaching our target that we've been talking about for, I don't know, ages. This is definitely an inverse head and shoulders kind of. This is a giant accumulation. So this is a first target of 0.05, 0.06, and it's obviously going to have some resistance there. But if you really zoom out on this chart, there's an unforgiving amount of upside on this. And I don't want to jinx anything, but this is so much upside that I actually even wonder whether, this may actually influence Bitcoin so much, because ETH is, it's a relatively large project still. So it does have, if this is going to rumble, it may have impact on Bitcoin. People may actually start selling Bitcoin for ETH at ridiculous rates. If this is going to complete like a full, at least bearish retest of this zone, then it's just going to get incredibly tough on Bitcoin. So if you if you look at ETHUSD, let's see. Let's try a long scale. It's I think unless something drastically changes in the way ETH BTC is behaving, this is gonna go through all-time high, and it's gonna do something like Bitcoin did. And if Bitcoin is not showing any strength against the USD, it's all gonna be it's just gonna be ETH BTC running. So kind of crazy, but honestly, I would not be surprised if if we go towards 2K, like 2K is absolutely not out of the question for ETH. And it could happen relatively soon. Sounds crazy, but honestly, I really think we're going to 2K. So 2K target for ETH USD. And then we just have to question, like how is it going to get there? Is it going to get there just by owning and outperforming Bitcoin really, really strongly, or is Bitcoin going to run as well? And I think the answer is they're probably both going to run. And for Bitcoin, the question remains whether that's going to be after visiting the 27K region, or that it's just going to pump on its own, just straight through it as the week starts. So it's kind of early to say. It's still Sunday. Anything can happen. Tomorrow is probably going to be a very important day to see how, when the markets open, Bitcoin is going to perform. Whether they're going to be pivoting more into ETH, or that this is just it and they're going to be running it. So I don't know. Bitcoin, obviously, in my opinion, if we resolve this range, we tap the 27K region, or we just continue from here, then I think that in Feb, we're potentially looking at 50 to 60K. Because then this entire area is just a continuation pattern, which is quite a large one, considering that this is 42K and this is 28K, so that's a 14K range. So you can honestly understand that if we double this, we can easily go to at least 50, but I think eventually 60k in Feb would be reasonable if we see that continuation. So for that continuation to confirm, in my opinion, is this diagonal is very important, and then the diagonal on the other side obviously gets claimed as well. But the two diagonals that need to be claimed are these. So basically this one that I just drew and this one that I'm highlighting right there. I could look on the lower time frames for Bitcoin, but I think we just gotta let it play out on the daily now and see what's gonna happen. Shorts closed, looking for bids down here. Had some bids at 30k. We'll leave in some bids at 30k, and play it slowly. If you play leverage, move slowly, wait for confirmation, get some exposure now, but don't burn your account on this yet. And then once we get back above red, I think that's the real go signal. I think that's it. There's a lot of DeFi coins just going mayhem. I'm not going to chart them because I always just chart ETH and Bitcoin. ETH is looking absolutely bonkers. Bitcoin, I hope it's just going to perform well as well, because if they can perform side by side, that's honestly the biggest signal of health that we can find in this market. All right, I'll check you back on Sunday, and take care.